We have a very important role when it comes to economic development, and fundamentally there's three things we need to do. The first is take advantage of this opportunity to build infrastructure. Construction costs are low, people are out of work, and we could actually make a difference with that core economic activity. That's why there's been so much road construction and transit construction and construction of social infrastructure, because we've been able to deploy $2 billion into the economy this season. The second is we have to sell Calgary. And that not only means selling Calgary to business and investment and people from around the world, but it also means selling Calgary to Calgarians. There's a lot of naysayers out there who are down-talking the city. And we have to remember that this remains one of the top 5 cities in the world in which to live, a magnificent place for opportunity. There's never been a better time to start a small business, and we have to really advocate for entrepreneurs and innovators and help them do business with the city.
Well, first of all, we need to create an environment that makes it easy for businesses to be able to set up shop here and start doing business. We also need to do more proactive outreaches to companies like Amazon and other organizations that are looking to relocate. We have to work with Calgary Economic Development as well as economic development and the private sector to do trade missions outside of our city. We need to fill our office towers downtown.
Well, I think it's critical that the city create the conditions for businesses to be successful. Two real big components to that is to make sure that the tax regime is competitive so that businesses aren't overtaxed so that they can be profitable. And the second piece is to create the conditions at City Hall so that they don't have to fight through red tape such that it affects their business.
So what you got to do is really look at the taxation, revisit. The federal government's coming at everybody, the provincial government's coming at everybody. The city should be our last line of defense. Regulations as well are a little tough. You got to get out of the way. Economic downturns, there's a lot of opportunity there. Like I said, more people available, lower rent for spaces that you probably couldn't afford a year or two before. So you can really start a business from ground zero in an economic downturn. So I think that's what you got to do. You got to really go a little lighter on citizens, taxation-wise. You got to get out of the way. You got to help them, not hurt them.
Yes, Helen, the city's role in economic development is to lay a level field of equality of opportunity, staying away always from enforcing equality of results. The city is to form clear rules of contract law and enforcement. It must withdraw from business operations which compete with the private sector and stick within its mandate boundaries.
Well, the city's job is quite simply facilitation. It's the city's job to facilitate economic development, to create a good business environment for small, medium, and large-sized businesses. We want to create a city that is friendly to investment, friendly to innovators and entrepreneurs, and a lot of that has to do with the tax climate, the regulatory climate, making sure that taxes are not too high. I believe right now taxes are much too high. We've seen multiple increases in taxes over the years, and we see a lot of excessive, intrusive bylaws. So we need to address the tax and bylaw situations.
Well, the city of Calgary has ignored the current economic conditions for the past few years. We have a 30% vacancy rate, we have a 10% unemployment rate. The city must do some things to create processes that are going to welcome business. Whether it's creating some open government that's going to really reduce bureaucracy. We have business-friendly processes. That's key and critical. I think there has to be, the conditions that are going to create opportunity for technological, entrepreneurial, all sorts of different, really kind of economic, stimulators to get people interested here, and then also showcase that we have a well-educated workforce and a really talented workforce, both so we have individuals and companies that are locally that they will want to be here, but then also welcome them from the world as well.
I think the city's done a very good job on balancing taxes with services over the last 7 years. We went from a 7.9% tax increase that was proposed the year that I became mayor to maintaining the lowest taxes of any big city in Canada, while maintaining extremely high levels of citizen satisfaction with our services. Now, we haven't invested in increasing a lot of services. Most of the increases have been simply in public transit hours. But people seem very satisfied with the level of service they give, and we're able to do it with the lowest taxes in the country while finding $325 million of efficiencies in the last budget, which allowed us to freeze residential taxes this year as well as cap business taxes. We won't be able to do that forever, but it certainly helps us through this period of economic downturn.
So currently, council's been so focused on building new projects, a lot of nice to haves, rather than focusing more on the needs of Calgarians. I think we need to slow down our spend on capital projects and focus more on some city services like safety, security, policing, better roads maintenance, parks maintenance, just to name a few, including better public transit.
Well, I think we have to take a very hard look at what we're spending our money on. There are the must-haves and there's the nice-to-haves, and we're spending a lot of money on nice-to-haves. We need to focus on those must-haves and ensure that there's enough money left over for the ones that we can do on the nice-to-haves.
I'm thinking it's got to be balanced out a little bit more equitably. You know, we have all these giant infrastructure projects going way out of town, where all these developers and farmers plotted off this land. They made a lot of money. People got great deals on houses, and I'm all for that. But the infrastructure we have to build out there doesn't really balance itself with the downtown. You know, every time I see a snowplow driving all the way down there and people trapped on their streets in Mission, I have to wonder that. So we have to look at that. And we also have to look at how we're taxing our downtown citizens. It's driving a lot of the more elderly people out of these communities like Ramsey and Mission and Inglewood. They've been there for 30, 40 years. A neighbor or developer builds a house next door, and all of a sudden their property taxes go up. So that's what we have to look at doing.
Both taxes and city services must be reduced. In the next term, we are about to smash in to a brass wall of interlocking urban design plans, which will bankrupt Calgary. We have to get the city out of this bizarre identity politics tribalism that gives away to just specialized sectors, and back what is good for the whole of the city of Calgary.
Well, I believe that it's all about efficiencies, right? Because then you're balancing the money that's going in with the money that's going out, and you're looking at the processes, the operations around how that's happening. Calgarians right now, they see a huge disconnect because the city has this whole narrative. They say, well, if you want better services, you're going to need to pay more for it. You're going to have to see a greater tax increase. You're going to see a greater fee increase. A lot of Calgarians laugh at that because they say, well, okay, well, we are paying more. We're paying more taxes every year of Nenchi's 7-year mandate, but what are we getting for it? We're getting worse services year after year. The streets aren't even cleared of snow properly. So Calgarians laugh at this narrative because they see taxes go up and then they see services go down. And then as well, during the same time period, you see year after year, council and the mayor will vote themselves pay increases, significant pay increases, and now we have the highest paid mayor in all of Canada. So Calgarians are saying, well, there's a disconnect there between what the city is saying and what the actual reality is. So we need to focus on the efficiencies.
You know, earlier this week, I made a call for a 5% cut across the board to the entire City of Calgary operating budget. I know that can be done because I've worked in the City of Calgary now in a senior manager role for the past 18 years. You know, there is not enough scrutiny for how dollars are spent. We need to really take a hard look at reducing waste. We have to look at really creating certainty as far as how those dollars are spent for Calgarians. We have to revise how the duplication of services are about, and we have to really take a hard look at making sure that we're not wasting dollars, reducing discretionary spending, I should say, and all those different aspects to go with it.
I think that everyone knows where I stand on this. It would be great to have a new arena. It would be a wonderful anchor for a new culture and entertainment district in the Victoria Park East Village area. But as I've said for many, many, many months now, public money must come with public benefit. I think that the city's offer on the table to pay 1/3 of the cost while getting a little bit of support from the Flames for the operating side, while the Flames get all the revenue and all the profit, is eminently reasonable. I think it's fair, if not a little bit overly generous. And I think most Calgarians will agree that the city has dealt with the situation very fairly.
I believe an arena is an absolute essential amenity to the city of Calgary, and it would create new jobs, and it would help to redevelop the Victoria Park area. The question comes down to how do we pay for it. I believe that an agreement can be reached that will be mutually beneficial to the city of Calgary as well as Calgary Sports and Entertainment, as long as we have the right leadership at the table.
Well, I believe that with respect to the arena, the mayor has deliberately negotiated to an impasse with this group and has no interest in finding any resolution. If I'm mayor, I'm going to sit down at the table with Calgary Sports and Entertainment and work towards a solution with them. When I was on the board at McMahon Stadium Society, I dealt with Calgary Sports and Entertainment, and we got a lease with them. I know how to work with these people. I will get a deal.
You know, this question comes back to the very essence of my campaign. Nothing's getting done. You've got the arena. It's been going on for 4 years. You've got the Green Line. It's been going on forever. You've got flood mitigation. Secondary suites. It hasn't gotten done. Uber. It took 3 years. All I know is nothing's getting done. And what this requires is some negotiation. But if you can't negotiate with your city council, how are you going to negotiate with a world-class team? We need a negotiator in City Hall.
I support the construction of an arena as a necessity for civic growth. We need a congregating place for our greatest expressions of artistic and sports achievements. There should be a 50-50 split in costs with a 35-year lease. No property taxes should be added. It would be like taxing the Special Olympics. So I do believe that there's an anti-business attitude in the current administration that is negative human capital. We've got to encourage the producers, and we've got to encourage sports exceptionalism such as the Flames.
Well, I believe that the arena issue is a very sensitive issue that Calgarians wish hadn't been dragged into the election spotlight. The mayor should have made a decision on this, and council, the administration should have made a decision, and they should have come to a deal, an amicable solution months and months ago before it came to the election red zone. Let's be clear, you're going to have a public-private partnership. You're going to have some public money, you're going to have some private money, right? And the city's proposal of thirds, right? Splitting into thirds in terms of the funding is overly simplistic. And I think everyone knows that. And I think that the Flames have a lot to contribute to this city, and they're a friendly organization, and I think we can come to a great deal with them. We need to repair the relationship with the Calgary Sports and Entertainment Corporation, and I think we can come to a great deal with them. Let's make a deal.
You know, I appreciate that the Flames are a huge economic and social benefit to any city. Well, to our city, they were a huge part of the fabric. You know, unfortunately, the current conversation has really been a part of a ego-based political conversation. It needs to be a fact-based return on investment conversation. I'm hopeful that as mayor, I would be able to bring back the Flames to the table. I know they've stepped away, but it's got to make sense for both the Flames and for Calgarians. I think that can be articulated through the right returns on investment, but it's going to require leadership to make that happen.
I really want to focus, if I'm re-elected, the next 4 years on 3 things: a better economy, stronger and safer communities, and a smarter City Hall. All of those things really work together in terms of ensuring that there's opportunity and prosperity for everyone in the community. And it really does mean making sure there's economic opportunities, making sure people can live in safe communities, making sure that we stand up against voices of small-mindedness, intolerance, and hatred, and making sure that we have a government that is efficient, that continues to have the lowest taxes of any big city in the country, but continues to make sure that the services are there at the moment people need them.
Probably the biggest issue, and it's come up a number of times, is the level of taxation that Calgarians have been experiencing. I believe that we are traveling down a path that's not financially prudent, and with my leadership, I know that we can I could lead council to better decisions on how to manage our finances to lessen the impact on Calgarians and ultimately deliver better services to Calgarians.
I think it's really threefold. We need strong collaborative leadership. I've heard that at the doors. I've heard that from Calgarians. I'm going to work with council and with the administration and with Calgarians to meet their priorities. We need strong fiscal responsibility. We're spending too much on nice-to-haves instead of focusing on our need-to-haves. And we need safe and vibrant communities. We need more police on the street, and we need people to feel like they have the conditions to be successful as a small business.
The whole basis of my campaign is nothing's getting done. The green line, it's not getting done. Secondary suites, they're not getting done. This new arena, it's not getting done. Flood mitigation, it's not getting done. These are very, very important issues facing the city. And if we want to, and they've just put the public arts on hold, we have to start working at City Hall before we can start working as a city.
The City of Calgary has morphed into an out-of-control planning monstrosity. Huge money expended on immense planning complexity 50 years in the future, frequently far from accurate, financially viable, or wisely implemented. In nature, we find the abnormality of gigantism. Tumors on the pituitary gland cause growth hormone spurts. Harmful overgrowth in body parts results. Civic gigantism deeply afflicts Calgary, caused by divisive identity tribalism. So I propose to do this by bringing my A-team to City Hall. I will bring the office of the mayor under the lordship of Jesus Christ, a Jewish carpenter for whom I have the ultimate respect.
The biggest issue in this city is, of course, the economy. We need to make sure that job creators, innovators, entrepreneurs, small business owners have a positive environment, a positive business environment to make investments and to create jobs. We need to see the city take major action on that. The city can't blame the price of oil. They can't blame the provincial or federal government. The buck stops at the mayor's office, and the mayor needs to initiate policies that are going to facilitate economic development. We need to take responsibility through lowering taxes, particularly for small business owners, and for reducing red tape, particularly in bylaws, developments, permits, fees, licenses. Overall, the regulation needs to come down for small businesses.
You know, I think the biggest issue facing our city is the lack of leadership at City Hall. You know, there are special interest focused, there's a divided council, and really that happens when the mayor has no vision. Because without a vision, you can't lead. And with my C plan, my comprehensive C plan, which is really an approach for my platform, is also going to turn into my work plan for the next 4 years when I'm elected mayor. It's going to create an opportunity for Calgarians to hold me accountable, and it's going to benefit every Calgarian. And I think that's what we need in our city, and that's what I'm going to be proposing in the next few weeks.